So welcome to Tech Talk Thursday, Season 4, Episode 11. Delighted to be joined today by Dave Bennett, who's the Managing Director of Bentech Limited. Bentech is a unique distributor based in the UK that represents a number of major lines and some very innovative products. But Dave has also introduced a new way of selling. We're going to talk about all of that as we go forward today. Welcome, Dave.
Welcome, Trevor.
Yeah.
Nice to be with you again.
Yeah, so just for our viewers' understanding, give us a quick list of the key systems and machines that you sell at Bentech.
Yeah, our main focus is very much still the Mirtech product, which for 12 years I was the European president for that company, and still have a very strong relationship, and we look after their sales support across the UK, Ireland, and India still. So still working very closely with them, and we're having major success. The UK is dominated by Mirtech, and we've had, even through COVID, we've had a couple of really good years with sales. And, as I speak, we've got another customer who's got multiple Mirtechs, and he's got another 2 brand new ones going in at the moment. And, long may this continue. It's a tremendous product. Yeah. And the customers really appreciate the technological advantages it offers. So that's very much our flagship, and sort of long may it last. But we've also got some really nice products. We've got our own range of board handling. We've worked very closely with a supplier friend of mine who I've known 25 years, and we've looked at sort of upgrading his product to suit a global market rather than purely just the Asian market. Very sophisticated handling, tremendous pricing, and my customers, many of them have got multiple units where they've initially bought things like good, no good loaders, unloaders, and found them to be far superior to machines that were 3-4 times the price. Right. So our board handling business is very, very strong. It would probably be our second next run of products because we're being asked for that all the time. Then we go on, we've got a really nice range of X-ray, inline, offline, even the benchtop. So we've got a complete range of X-ray that we can offer the market. And this is something combined with our Mirtechs, it sort of closes that gap for inspection technology and suits everything really well.
Okay, great. Obviously, Productronica is around the corner. Is there anything new coming out of the Mirtech stable that we'll be able to expect there?
Yes, there's a Mirtech booth at Productronica. They have got some new capabilities that they're going to be talking about. I don't want to sort of take away their big moment because that'll be with you at the show, I'm sure. But yeah, as always, Mirtech are known to be the technological leader in inspection technologies. They've always got something new. They're always the first. And I should be going across to see these things for myself as well. Right. With Philip, who's our technical director. We're going to go across and spend a few days meeting some of our reps, which we'll talk about a bit later, and also having a look at these new technologies.
Yeah, that's great. So I look forward to seeing that from Mirtech. Now, on your handling equipment, of course, automation's a big deal at the moment. Everybody's rushing to automate. Because of the shortages in the manpower and everything else that's going on in this crazy pandemic world at the moment. But I would imagine you've seen quite an uptick in the desire for automation and handling systems.
Yeah, very much. Obviously, we all know about the drive towards intelligent production lines, Industry 4.0 and the like. One of the key things is having this handshake all the way along the line. And obviously, the thing you don't need is a man stuck on every machine every day because, back in the 90s, that was the way it was done. You'd have men everywhere. Now it's all done with intelligence, and it's all being done as a preliminary to the manufacturing process. So basically what you've got is early warnings, if you like, of anything that's going to go slightly out of kilter. So you don't need somebody stood there all day. These machines are now intelligent. They can communicate. If they start to have any problems, typically the inspection equipment will start to ask questions. Why is this now shifting its quality level? And you can then direct the resources that you do have to fix that. And of course, because you don't have people stood everywhere, you need automation. You need to move things, you need to lift things, you need to store things, you need to check things. And, we have every type of handling to deal with that. We can buffer if we're seeing problems. We can stack when boards are finished. One of the most popular things we've got is we have a tremendous machine which loads from one direction and accepts back in the same direction. Great for space saving and really good for a concept that's very popular, especially in the UK, which is the island system. Right. What I mean by that is you basically have a loader unloader and you have an inspection system, and your boards are taken to the loader unloader in magazines. They go into the AOI, they get checked, and then they get sent back into one of two cassettes. One being good boards and one being boards where there's some concern. Yep. So it's all sorted automatically for you. You don't have to go through the machine if you don't wish. You can actually go one way and back. So you could have the AOI backed up to a wall. So any of the factories that have got sort of concerns on space, it's a great way. And we've done several of these now, and they're very successful.
Now, Dave, like me, you are a lover of new technology. You're always looking out for what's new out there, and what's going to be a game changer or a potential game changer in the industry. And you've got 3 lines that you're promoting at the moment that I think fall into that category. That's namely the Novacentrics line in situ air products and Matrix. Let's take them one by one and very briefly give us a taster of what's each one brings to the party.
Yeah, I mean,
Novacentrics,
Yeah, basically, just prior to kicking off, I will explain that one of the things that Bennett does is we actually do recruitment and management for these companies for their global sales network. Mm-hmm. Now these are American companies. In the US, they have their own network, but everything outside of the US, Asia, Europe, etc. Basically, Bentech recruits the distributors, something I've done for 30 odd years with different companies. Mm-hmm. And then we support them, help them with marketing, help them with sales, and make sure that they have everything they need to be successful. So that's what we do for these companies. And starting, as you said, with Novacentrics, this is an incredible company. I've really been quite shocked because, as you may remember, I started in reflow. Mm-hmm. I actually ran multiple factories for manufacturing reflow ovens, and I set up the global networks. So I'm very aware of all the positives, but also all the negatives. And when I saw this new technology, it absolutely blew me away. What they can do, Trevor, they can reflow on any substrate. And when I say any, I'm talking human skin, if you want.
Wow.
They can reflow. Yeah, they can solder components onto any substrate, and they do it in milliseconds, literally milliseconds. And it's done through pulsing. And the technology initially, I mean, it's not new. It's been around 20 plus years. The company's a very mature company, but they were very much in other industries. And what they did do in the electronic industry was mainly conductive curing, that sort of thing, rather than reflow. But their customers asked them to look into it, and it became a huge success. And now they've approached me and said, can you take us globally with it? And the distributors I'm speaking to are absolutely blown away. I mean, literally what this thing does, you put the board into the machine itself. It's called a pulse forge system. Mm-hmm. And within seconds, the whole board is reflowed. There's no thermal shock at all to components. There's no thermal damage to the substrate. It's also got this amazing ability that when it's doing this, as I said, you could do it on skin. There's no transfer other than where it's directed, which is the soda paste. So the soda paste absorbs the heat, reflows, the component's perfect, and there's no delta T's. And it is a phenomenal.
It doesn't affect the components around.
No, not at all.
Yeah. Now, I'm familiar with the technology, Dave, but they came essentially from the flexible circuit industry. They were doing on Kapton and different materials like that.
Exactly.
Are they doing it successfully on FR4 yet?
Yes, they are. They actually have a complete line at their facility in Texas, and they are manufacturing boards there on all different types of substrates, including FR4. A lot of customers have already been to visit them doing their own trials. Everyone has been successful. And we are going to have a system at our UK facility. Probably, it could be the end of this year, early part of next year. It was going to come after the Productronica show. But with all of the travel issues, especially for the Americans going to Germany, then unfortunately that's been curtailed, and now Apex will be the major launch.
Right.
But we will have a machine in the UK, which we will then share with our distributors across Europe for their own local trade shows, etc.
I think the key thing there, though, with this technology is that, you know, this pulse forge system, the reflow oven has always been the slowest machine on the line. It's dictated the speed of the line, essentially.
Yeah.
And it goes overnight from being the slowest machine to the fastest machine.
True. It's at least 5 times faster than any reflow oven. Yeah. I mean, the key thing is it doesn't also suffer from loading. So if you wanted boards touching each other, it doesn't matter. I mean, it'll reflow the boards as fast as you can load them.
Right.
And the other massive thing, and I was speaking to our German distributor, and they were saying that it's a really big issue in Germany now because they are being tasked by the government to prove the manufacturers that they are reducing power usage. Right. And the same things come from my contacts in China. They're saying the same thing. They are being fined, or they are actually being told to reduce working hours to cut down energy consumption. Now, the pulse forge uses or saves in the region of 85% because it's only using power when it pulses.
Right.
You don't have to warm it up. You don't have to leave it soaking. You don't have to warm it down. You just turn it on when you want it and turn it off when you don't. And in that sort of couple of seconds where it's reflowing a board, it's using nothing in comparison to a reflow oven, which, as you know, takes forever to get to the right heat, stabilize, and then run all day soaking power into it. None of that's involved. There's a massive saving. So any factory that wants to get the green light from, you know, their government, they can turn around and say, we're changing these things for these things.
Absolutely. Yeah. So anybody involved in sustainability and looking to reduce energy consumption, it sounds like a great option. Okay, so that's the Novocentric system, the in situ air. What's the latest on that?
Now, that's a really interesting product because as you and I are both very aware that our industry is trying to become sort of super intelligent regarding equipment communication and production control. You know, everyone's a black belt. Everyone wants Industry 4.0. Every machine must talk to every machine. But the one thing nobody has looked at is materials. It's like baking a cake with a rotten egg. You know, if you don't have your materials at their optimum level, that can fail. And there's some horrific stories of solder sort of cracking and breaking and you know, vehicle accidents, aircraft accidents, and these things are easy to find. Yet they've passed every test. They've passed X-ray, they've passed AOI, they've passed every monitor through the production. But the one thing that was wrong right in the beginning was the materials.
Right.
And what in situ have is a hand tool, literally. And this hand tool, in less than 3 minutes, will feed back, is this soda paste fit for manufacture?
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter, you know, whether it was transported wrongly, whether it was held too long on the docks, whether it's been stored at the facility badly, whether the jar wasn't closed properly, whether it was left too long on the line. It's such a sensitive material to change, humidity, temperature, etc., that all they have today is a jar with a label, used by, you know, which is all they've got. Yeah. Now, if anything has caused an issue for that paste, it looks perfect. It'll go onto a board okay when you screen print it. It'll hold the components. It'll reflow, and it'll look okay to an AOI machine. but the solder is weak. It is not fit for purpose, and it can let them down. Now, with this simple tool, you're talking seconds. You literally just swab a probe, put the probe in, less than 3 minutes. It will tell you every time you're going to start production, your materials are good. Right. And it doesn't just cover material solder paste. It does, is the conformal coating that you're going to use, is that fit for use? Is it the right sort of chemical formulation? Is it the right, the moisture content, etc.? Is it going to do the job, or is it going to be too thin, too tacky, too hard, too brittle? That's the next thing that's just come out, and that's getting a lot of interest. We've got some really blue chip companies looking at this, because conformal coating, as you know, on aircraft and automotive, etc., it's critical. And this is something that companies have been asking a long time for, a way to check the quality of this. Now we can check the material before you ever dispense it on your board.
Now, apparently on the solder side, I mean, you've got a couple of companies that have been looking at this technology because of the difficulties they're facing with the supply chain at the moment. Tell us a bit about that story. Yeah,
I mean, there's one horror story of a component that was 20 cents, which is now $20, which is, quite terrifying. But the last thing you want to do is have that soldered to a board on bad solder, because, if it's automotive, military, medical, you're probably not allowed to rework it. You can't reclaim that product. For the sake of 3 minutes, you'd have known that. You wouldn't have put it on bad solder. You'd have known it was fit for purpose. So, that's just one component. As you very well, Trevor, some of these components are astronomical. And the thought of, for the sake of a very quick test, not letting or not using that component on bad materials is going to save them a fortune. I mean, it buys the machine in probably a couple of days. It's crazy. And of course, the other issue that we've got is, if you've got your customer and he is demanding, as we know the automotive and military stuff does, reports on every part of the process, to be able to turn around and say, before we even started, we knew the materials were perfect. Right. Here's the report. Yeah. That once companies start implementing this, it is a brand new technology. COVID knocked it back from the proper launch. The reps and distributors could not get in front of the customers to explain this new capability. But now that they can, we are getting a lot of interest, and the machines are starting to sell really well, and nearly all to top drawer companies, companies who understand quality. And what's going to happen, I think it's going to be a bit like AOI. In the early days of AOI, everybody said, I don't need it. I've got Gladys. She looks through a magnifying glass. Everything's cool. But as soon as the customers came in and said, here's a contract, are you using optical inspection? Everybody wanted it. And this will be the same for this. Yeah, I cannot imagine, OEMs are going to need it. Yeah, I can't imagine, Trevor, that contracts will be given in a year or two's time, unless you can prove that you're looking after your materials, whatever it might be. Because the thing with in situ wear, it's a bit like a Swiss Army knife. It's not just solder paste. It's not just conformal coating. It's adhesives. It's also going to be cleanliness of the board. It's going to be so many different tools that this little gadget can use. And it is literally a palm-held tool. Fantastic product.
Right. Okay, we're running out of time, so let's move on quickly to Matrix. Charlie Moncavage, our old friend. Yeah. What is he up to now?
Well, as we both know, Charlie is the guru as far as board handling support. Yeah. Gridlock and Quick Tool, all these companies came from Charlie, and he came up with his latest version. But what he's done this time is he's tooled up with a very big American manufacturing company and brought this new product out, and it's got a lot of advantages. I mean, the key things with Charlie's knowledge of board handling is, in 25 years, he knows what the weaknesses were, and it did have weaknesses. And what he's done is he's using a diamond frame rather than squares. It doesn't have the same problems with jamming and gunking up. It's a massive price advantage, far better than any of the competitors. And it literally is the next step in quality board handling. And he can even do huge long ones to look after LED manufacturing. Mm-hmm. So great product, great price. We're launching that at SMT AI, which is next week, I believe. Yeah. And that's going to be the first time the reps are all getting together. They will basically have their starter kits and away they go. I'll be following that up in Europe. I'm going to Productronica, and I will be discussing it with several of the major distributors across Europe.
Great.
So that's another one that's going. But basically, it's better than anything out there, and it's cost less. Good. Can't get much better than that.
Well, we look forward to seeing more about that when it's released. Now, before we end, I want to come back to something that we discussed yesterday, actually, which is a new method of selling. Typically in the United States, you have a network of reps, manufacturers, representatives that have the relationships with the manufacturers, but they don't hold stock and they don't do servicing usually. Over here or outside of the United States, the typical business model is to use distributors who hold stock, who do servicing, and to take more responsibility for making sure that the product is maintained. You've got a third way that you've introduced called associates. Tell us a bit about how that works and how that fits into the model of distributorship, because you mentioned earlier in this conversation that you've appointed distributors for your products around the globe. But where do associates fit into that?
Basically, what we do, Trevor, is, as you know, I've been working with rep networks all my professional life in this industry, and that network is incredibly powerful and it means a lot to me, and I want to keep in contact with these people. Mm-hmm. And when I evolved from the Mirtech president to the owner and managing director of Bentech, a lot of them said, I want to work with you. There were some, saying, oh, let's set up Bentech this country or Bentech that country. And I said, well, better than that, keep your own identities and we'll still keep working together. Tell me what you need, I'll get it for you. And again, that's networking because I know the manufacturers as well. So I've worked with so many different manufacturers around the world that when the products are available, I can literally go back to the owners of the company and say, can I sell this product into this country? And if they say yes, then I just, make sure that the rep makes the same sort of margins that he needs to make to supply it, to support it and everything else. And they can have it own label, they can have it in the Bentech label, they can have it in the manufacturer's label. It doesn't matter. It's purely up to the whichever rep is selling the product. We started off with mainly contacts that I'd worked with through Mirtech, but even that's quickly expanded. And I've got distributors in many different countries in Europe and Canada and the US and China. And basically what they do is they promote products in our portfolio, but we also have sourcing. Again, because of this network, if somebody came to me and said, I am looking for a product X, and if it's not currently in the Bentech portfolio, then I can contact the companies who make product X and say, I have an opportunity to sell this product in this country through this distributor. Are you happy to do it? And if they say, yeah, great, that's good for us, I will try to get that line for the distributor, but alternatively, we will take the line and we will then sub-sell it for them. And we basically take a very small fee, which we get from the manufacturer. So the rep still gets the normal margin.
So let me understand this. I mean, are you literally taking the sort of manufacturer's rep model that's in the United States and taking it outside of the US and supporting manufacturers' reps in the field in other parts of the world? Is that the idea?
Yeah. I mean, basically, in most cases, obviously COVID slowed a lot down. So we were very selective over what type of products we were selling into those territories, because every one of those manufacturers has got English-speaking engineers who could have flown in with the equipment, set it up, done the training, job done. Now, you cannot do that in a situation with COVID, of course. So we would only sell equipment that we knew could be supported on site. That now is relaxing, and as we are allowed to start bringing in engineers from the States or from Asia or wherever it might be, then our portfolio that we offer our distributors will get wider and wider. The initial thing that we're trying to do at the moment is to make sure that when we have a customer, if we take customer X and he turns to a distributor that he's buying nearly all of his equipment from and says, I want this product. And they have a product, but it's probably too expensive, as an example. And the customer has, well, yeah, I know it's a good machine, but I don't need to spend that. I just need one to do this. For that distributor, normally game over, finished, he's out of the frame. And he has to let a competitor come in and sell a product and make a relationship with his customer who never wanted to leave him. But what we offer is a way that he doesn't have to do that. If they want and they don't want to upset their existing supplier, we'll sell it to their customer as Bentech and then pay them a commission. So what we do is, instead of one of their competitors coming in, we're a partner of theirs. We come in as they're our associate. And if in the future, this is really important, Trevor, if in the future that customer was to contact us and said, hey, Dave, really enjoyed the X machine I bought from you. Now I want to buy the Y machine. I want to buy it from you. That's okay. I will still pay the commission to the rep. This is his customer in my eyes, and it will always be. And by doing that, and by being square with the distributors and the reps, they have no fear of Bentech. We're an ally. We're their associate. We're their partner. And by doing that, it's starting now. I mean, literally, we're getting inquiries all the time. What are you doing? How do you do it? I've seen so-and-so selling your stuff, you know. So it's gradually picking up. And it is different. You know, no one else does it.
Yeah, very much so. Very much so. Well, it sounds interesting, Dave. Sounds like you've got a lot on your plate.
That's for sure.
But I'm looking forward to catching up with you for a beer sometime next week, or the week after next, over in Munich. But for now, I want to say thank you for coming in and giving us a little taste of what we can expect from Bentech.
Trevor, thank you very much, as always.